The New Flat Rate Podcast.
The New Flat Rate!
For contractors ready to boost tickets, simplify business, and gain freedom. Today, we sat down with Jennifer Bagley. She's the host of the Catalyst for the Trades podcast, the CEO of CI Web Groups, Inc., and one of the most in-demand speakers in the home service industry. She helps manufacturers, distributors, and contractors navigate the future of marketing by understanding how AI search, AI task agents, agentic networks, and zero-click conversations are transforming consumer behavior and competition, and what businesses must do to adapt. Jennifer highlights the critical need to evolve the relationship between AI, your business, your marketing agency, and your customer. As the founder of one of the most advanced web and digital marketing agencies in the trades, serving thousands of businesses across the US and Canada, her mission is clear: help business owners create more time, money, and freedom by doing the right things in the right order at the right time, driven by strategy, data, and results. This is the new era of digital transformation, the new revolution. And now, your host, Danielle Putnam.
Hey there, welcome everybody today. My name is Danielle Putnam. I'm the president of the New Flat Rate, and really excited to be joined today by Jennifer Bagley, the CEO of CI Web Group.
Hi, you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad that you're here. I wanted to segue your travel, your speaking directly into you're about to become a grandparent.
I am so excited. Our kiddos have been trying for a long time.
Aww.
And I got that phone call. I feel like everything was all hinged on, like, when I built the business, I was like, I just want to have certain things in place so that when I'm a grandma, that
Wow.
those things are all there. I had all those decisions. So it was
Oh.
absolutely, and I'm turning 50.
Oh, no way.
5 days. So I get 50 grandma, and all of the things I
Awesome.
needed to have in place to be able to enjoy this lovely experience. I feel
Yay.
accomplished. It's fantastic.
That is, congratulations.
Thank
Well,
you.
because I was wondering, I'm so happy for you. And thanks for sharing that story because I didn't know, that you've had this in your mind for a long time and waiting and preparing for this. So are you going to step back at all in your travel?
It wasn't even, so I only had one child. I only had one baby making option. And I was so adamant about assisting in this that Mike and I on this last one were like, let's get a killer place in Hawaii. We're going to get a reproduction room that's really fancy. I was trying to bullet point list how we were going to make this happen. And guess what? It worked. We spent 10 days golfing in Hawaii. Next thing you know, we come back 30 days later. Ta-da.
Funny how that works out.
So yes, I'm going home tomorrow. We have been home for like maybe 15 days in the last 9 months, maybe 20 days. My stuff is packed. It's sitting out there. Tomorrow evening, I'm on a jet plane. I'm going back. The kids are there, and I'm gonna sit my butt still and wait for that baby. And I don't know what's gonna happen after I get to look in that little precious thing's face. I've been warning people that it's probably gonna be a lot of virtual and buy a hologram or something. Either that, or I know this lady, Danielle, that I've seen show up at an event with like one here, one on the pocket.
They travel well when they're young.
I'm gonna be that.
Can you
I'm
imagine
gonna be that grandma.
your grandbaby around? That would be so fun.
Oh, I will absolutely do that. I was a single mom when I had Terrell. So I was single, traveling 2 weeks out of every month until he was 14 when I met my husband. Yeah.
Wow.
So that child I have drugged to New York in the middle of like 10 feet of snow, sitting on a suitcase. There's snow and garbage on every corner, showing up at midnight, 2 a.m, huffing down the street. He's been everywhere. I used to have to, there was a hotel in New York. I was in the retail industry when I had him. He used to say, my mom works on a plane in New York.
That is so cute.
I used to drag him to all these conferences and speaking events just like you did. But like there was a lady at the Omni in Manhattan. Her name was Guadalupe. And this lady, she was my everything because she saved me. I met her when I was at the hotel. Next thing you know, when I'd fly in, she'd help me. She'd come, she stayed with them in the hotel room. She came to events with me. That was my girl.
Yep. But it's that's why it's so exciting as you're gonna welcome this grandbaby. I wonder what it's gonna be like this time around. And you're gonna be slowing down a little bit, being more virtual, being able to be present with that baby. But you have put in your time. That is so hard. And I know even, thinking I have a special like, wow, I commend you for being able to be a single mother and take care of your baby and travel that much. I cannot imagine. I've traveled a lot with my kids, especially when they're younger, and always needed help. So it really does take a tribe. But I've been so thankful, like you, that even showing up to events when people are like, "Oh, I'll hold your baby for a minute." I'm like, "Really? Wow, thank you." And I've got a picture on my bookshelf of John Maxwell kissing one of my babies. And it was so fun because he was the keynote speaker, and then afterwards in a photo shoot, he's like, "What?" He gives my little baby a kiss on the head, and that's really priceless. So
I love.
anyway, so
Okay,
fun.
small story. So I was in Manhattan. My son and I were there, and my dad had sent me a message, and he was like, "I'm watching you, so don't be coming back with all these handbags and everything. You bring too many handbags back home," because I got really good at handbag shopping. I was in my 20s.
Uh-huh.
And Terrell and I went out and we were walking down. I can't remember. I feel like it was like 42nd Street or something. And my guy that was the hookup for these handbags, I saw him and I started to go in between like the hot dog place and the whatever the other store was, because that was the alley up to their shop. And my phone rang and my dad was like, I can see you. Get out of the lobby. Go outside. You said you weren't going to buy any handbags. And he was watching me on some street cam because my
Are you
dad's a tech.
serious?
Yeah. My dad was an IT guy, like tech nerd, like you wouldn't believe. Very advanced for his time. But he was watching me he installed some street cam and watched me walk right in there to buy handbags.
That's hysterical.
I know.
I can't imagine. Yeah, my kids are young. I dread the days of wondering where are you. But I know everybody's got such different apps and all the location and stuff. But that was very forward of your dad.
Yeah.
Very very progressive, I should say, of your dad to be able to have seen you on a street cam. That's pretty impressive. And
Yeah.
so
We
you
didn't
come
have
by
cell
it
phones.
naturally, but you come by it naturally then. So he was in IT, and then you are really on the front lines of bringing technology into the trades. And I know that every time that you're speaking, you're really encouraging people to adopt the future and what's available to them today. And so some of that just comes naturally, and you must have interests because you grew up like that, or
Yeah, he was if you can look Kevin Bagley up on Wikipedia, it was the first developer to build a 2D video game. I don't remember what those look like, but that
neat,
was him. Very first. He
neat.
turned down a job from Bill Gates, which is funny where that would
Hmm.
have went. That was when they were really tiny. He built the software that allowed you. I don't know if you remember when checks came out and you
Hmm.
couldn't use a check in a grocery store because they couldn't validate if you had any money. So he
Hmm.
built this odd looking thing. There was like 100 of them in the house. And the check just went through this little cycle and it validated you had money and you could take checks in a grocery store. Like, so he was just an inventor of so many different technology
Ah.
devices, which was really cool.
Oh, I'm glad we stumbled upon that because that's
Yeah.
fascinating and it does make sense on he was like that and you were around that and so you like to bring technology to the trades. So that
Yeah.
comes full circle.
I grew up with a coder, and all of my cousins that are guys, they all grew up learning to code with my dad. So they were in the garage hacking their grades by the time they were in the sixth grade, but just around a bunch of nerds.
I love it. Well, that's going to work perfect for what we want to talk about today. But before we do, hang with me, everybody. I'd like to provide Jennifer an opportunity just to give us a synopsis because we're going to tie it in on CI Web Group and what you guys do for digital marketing.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting. So we right now at this very time, so let's date this. So May 21st, 2025, because I
Yeah.
know this is gonna live out there. So at
Yeah.
this point in time, we have five major priorities to help future-proof small businesses, mid-sized businesses, and larger enterprises for the next 12 to 24 months. So number one is we have upgraded our Annie and moved out of the traditional WordPress, heavy plugins, themes, and so forth. We've hired an entirely new group of developers that specialize in developing low code, AI enabled web experience platforms, which are performing like 1,000 to 1 better on traditional search as well as AI search. Um, Primarily because Google's asked for fast loading websites for its customers for many, 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 many years.
Yeah.
And we finally have the ability to deliver that, but it's also a necessity. Obviously, it costs AI, it costs Google to crawl a website and have to sift through thousands of lines of garbage code and junk. So it doesn't want to do that, right? It wants just give me the content and give me as quick as possible. So that's number one. Number two is over the last 12 months, there's been a litany of modifications to requirements as it's related to content, Google's knowledge base, the EEAT requirements that came out in March, but more importantly, with the launch of AI search engines, there are things that they like. They like structured data, they like schema, they like FAQs, they like content that's been generated with NLP in mind, which is neurolinguistic processing or neural language processing. Um, it wants content that is unique. It wants content that is based on user intent. There's all of these different elements and so forth. So, what typically happens with marketing agencies is you sign on with them and they write like 25 pages of content for you and maybe a handful of city pages, and then they slowly add them. And then they might add a blog page once a month, twice a month, a couple pages, and so forth. Home service companies and the smaller the businesses, the less patient they are. So it's one of the things that we have done over the last year is we've built, without getting too complicated, an agentic network of about 600 AI agents that are lang chained together. They all work in tandem and they all perform a specific function, which essentially allows us to produce work that's needed for them at a rate of about 1,000,000 to 1 that it did a year ago for us. So we're able to do more faster. So we're right now, every company needs to be evaluating 100% of the content they have on their website, reevaluating all of it, rewriting all of it, restructuring all of it so that it's prepped and ready for AI search, agentic search, super agents, as well as traditional search. So that's two. Number three is modifying our strategy from search engine optimization to search everywhere optimization. I'm sure we'll get to that in our next conversation. Number four is encouraging our clients to start generating and commit to generating user generated content, real content on a regular basis, and having a omni-channel approach to publishing that content. Very, very critical. We'll get to that later. And the fifth one is AI enablement. And that covers every aspect of your business from soup to nuts. There is not a company that shouldn't be looking at how to leverage AI to optimize every single piece of the supply chain within their business from beginning to end. If you want to drive up profits, if you want to drive leads up, if you want to drive costs down, if you want to provide a better experience, if you want to be able to compete a year from now, that needs to be a focal point, which it is at every major company in the world right now.
Yeah, I want to break down number two real quick. Those are great 5 priorities. Thank you for that. But for those of us on here that aren't as in the AI world every day, you said agentic. What's that mean?
So When people think about AI, they think ChatGPT, Perplexity. That's not technically AI. Those are user interfaces. So you have large language models that sit behind all of these user interfaces. And there are various versions of user interfaces. And AI's ability to either communicate back and forth, have a conversation, answer questions, do a little math problem for you, build a business plan, write your social media content, all of those things. And then there is an agentic network where you are utilizing a super agent that has the ability to perform a function, perform task, talk to other databases. So the entire AI world now operates with the standard protocol, MCP, which doesn't really exist anymore. All API documentation is different, code languages, nothing ever works together. AI does. Like this fact that it has a standard language is absolutely amazing. So AI's evolution is this conversational AI where you're typing in there on some ChatGPT or whatever. And then it moves to super agent, which is an agent that can perform a task. So that is find me a HVAC company to replace my heat pump. I'd prefer to have the appointment on Wednesday, sometime afternoon, and it will do all of the homework, all of the research, find all of your queries and answers to them, identify the company, place the call, add it to your calendar, send you a text reminder before they come. That's one single agent as a super agent that can perform a task. So an agentic network is a library of 10, 5, 1,000, 3,000 super agents that are managed by orchestrators, which are managed by directives or directors, just like an organization. So if you're going to build an org chart, but you were going to hyper focus a human being's effort to the smallest common denominator because you wanted them to be a true subject matter expert. Like you're going to pull this lever every single time because I need you to be perfect. That's a single agent. And when you start connecting them to where they talk together, they learn from each other, they hand tasks to each other, they check each other's work, they audit each other's work, that's agentic. And that is exciting.
It is exciting. And it's not, it's overwhelming when we think that we have to know all of this today and we have to have it in our business today. But what I hear Jennifer saying for everybody listening is that her and her team are on the forefront of that and doing that. And it sounds like you're able to do that piece on behalf of contractors.
Oh, yes. Last year was my first unprofitable year because of how much money I'm spending on this. I'm spending.
Let her be unprofitable so you can be profitable.
I'm about to start selling my shoes. I'm emphatic about this because of where I know AI is going, but more importantly, where I know the technology providers of the hardware that we use every day, what their roadmap is. I sit with them and have these discussions. And what I know happens when consumers get access to cool stuff as an update on their phone that makes their life easier. And so this industry is notorious for, as a consumer, my expectation is here. But as a business owner, I provide a service that's here. Like as a consumer, I expect that I can restock my wine cabinet in 3 clicks, pay her an extra $15. It's done. She's going to pick up, somebody else is going to pick up my laundry and it comes back in a folded bag. And with an extra tip, they know where to put it. Like I expect all these cool things. And then as a business owner, we don't provide the same level of experience that as a consumer I do. And I don't want to leave anybody in the dust. Like this is the time we buck up, get our stuff together and realize that this industry is technically savvy. The systems you're installing, your business model needs to represent that same thing. We need to have the sophistication of Apple. We need the convenience of Uber. And we can do that now. And it doesn't cost a whole bunch of money, and it doesn't require a tremendous amount of change. It just requires awareness, understanding, and some kind of a schedule of adoption.
Yeah, the consumer has changed so much lately that it is forcing all of us to change. We do have to be able to meet their expectations. And so that is the next thing that I'm so excited to talk about. So a couple weeks ago, I was on the phone with a mentor, Dominic Rubino, and he says, "Hey, Danielle, if you walked out of your business today in a new, this isn't a new question, but I love that he asked it because we need to hear it again, right? So if you walked out of your business today and a new CEO stepped in, what's the first thing that they would do?" Oh, it was so easy. I was like, oh, 1, 2, 3, boom, done. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Okay. Why haven't you done it? Well, you
If I
know,
could, if I could only get you to do the things you already know you should,
we
you could
know to do them,
be a
right?
genius.
We do know to do them. And so then, we write it down on the list. He's like, okay, these are your next 3 things to do. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm emotionally tied to these things. And, we enable areas of our companies. And so we're often the constraint that's holding us back from growth and adopting these new technologies from our enablement of, oh, well, we've always done it that way, or we pay so and so down the street to take care of this piece, right? And so let's play a game, Jennifer, and
All
let's build
right.
a really great company. All right. And so today I've got a they do $2 million of revenue, $2 million HVAC company. And it's middle of May. We're moving into hot summer. And you walked in and you became the CEO of this HVAC company. It happens to be in Houston, which is really great because you're very aware of the Houston market. You know what it's like there. Or would you rather be Seattle? Which one?
I'll take 4 seasons. Give me Seattle.
All right, Seattle. We're going to Seattle. All right, I like that. Okay, so we're in Seattle, $2 million revenue, and Jennifer Bagley became the CEO today. And so as you walk in, the team is a little hesitant because you're the new leader. They don't know much about you. You've got some trucks, you've got some technicians, you've got some installers, you've got a couple CSRs in the office. And what is it that you're going to do to help move them forward by adopting AI today?
Okay, so I just bought myself another month and a half of shoulder season because I moved the business to Seattle, by the way.
I like
That was
it.
that was the first move. All right. So number one, very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go attend my workshop that it's a 4-hour class. And in that 4-hour class, we leave the class with job descriptions for every single person in the company that you currently have on your team or will need to have on your team in the future. Done. We write all of the SOPs for every single role within the business. We create all of the KPIs for every single one of those roles within the business. I also teach them how to code an app to be able to track those KPIs in a matter of about 18 minutes. I would make sure that I had all of my brand guidelines fully documented, mission, vision, strategy, everything fully documented. I would create the inventory list of every target service that I want to sell by product category: air conditioning, repair, service, installation, maintenance, tune-up, financing, right? Same thing for heat pumps, same thing for furnace, same thing for heaters, same thing for ductless, same thing for IQ. I would build an inventory list as if I was going to go to market and open up a retail store. What are people buying? Mm-hmm. I would drop that into the AIs and I would get demand forecasts for those. I'd figure out what the search volume is for those and what are the variations. I'd let that run on the side. Then I would create a TAM list. What's my total addressable market? I would start with where the physical business was located. Where do I have technicians that dispatch from home? Where do I have the majority of my existing database? So I'd download their database, I'd upload it into the AI, and I would ask it to sift and sort that information to identify where do I have existing customers with existing brand recognition in those communities. And I would weight each one of those so I knew where to apply pressure. Then I would do a radius search based on technicians from home as well as my physical address to identify all of the additional cities, town, township, municipality, and community to each one of those locations. and I would query all of those to get average number of homes, average residents, or residents number of residential households in that area, average income, so I can get credit score approvals. I would do a market analysis very quickly on all of those markets to identify how many total addressable repairs do I have based on a 2.25 repair cycle, how many replacements based on a 10-year repair cycle in Seattle, Washington, maybe 12. And then I would calculate based on the demand search, because I should have that back, how many people are looking for it, what the weighted percentage is for those that are reactive, waiting for the system to break, versus those that are proactive, intentionally hunting top of funnel for system replacement without a break. And I would apply that weight to it. So I should have the total number of estimated repairs, total number of estimated replacements, and I should have the percent of the replacements that are going to come from a repair estimate at the end of that calculation. And then I would call CI Web Group. And I would get moving on. I would give them that data and I would say, go build me an AI enabled website. I want one page for every single service, every single city, and every single combination thereof. These are all the services I want to sell. These are all the cities I want to sell them. I want to plant these services on all of these different stores. Get that moving. And then I would let them leave them alone for the next 2 months. They'll call when you're ready. The next thing I would do is I would get on the waiting list for OnePath, which is an AI-enabled operating platform that is launching in June. So far, it's the most sophisticated one that I've seen. And I would start building out a migration strategy to ensure that I had AI bookings 24/7 across every application and device, all social media channels, website, everything. With human overflow, I would do a cost analysis, download my P&L and identify where I'm going to gain some savings there. I would put them in place to do all of my follow-ups on all the open quotes that are in the system that likely aren't getting enough attention. And I would use AI for that. I would have them, I would go through the entire database, identify all the customers not in a maintenance agreement, and have the AI start on that, call, text, and email. I would then go through the database and identify all those that are in the maintenance agreement. Because it's May and I got a lot of business in Seattle, I'd have another one that's calling everybody, getting tune-ups on the calendar to make sure these people are out of the office so I could focus. And then I would start on financial analysis, price book, costing, margins, profitability, build out my budget, pro forma. I would evaluate every single software that I'm subscribed to that doesn't talk to each other, cost me a fortune, and is a pain in the butt, and see how many of them I could replace and consolidate. And I would have all of that done by next Friday. Sorry.
You'd be a great CEO of this business. But we're building something awesome. I love what you have just said, because Jennifer has just given us an entire checklist, and we will export this out and create this checklist for everybody. This is brilliant. But it is also overwhelming because so many are still in the weeds in our business, and that's why it's great that any day we can hit the reset button. And she just gave you a pathway. Let's hit the reset button today. And step number 1 was attending that 4-day or 4-hour class. Where do they find that class?
You can request your distributor to host one. I'll do it virtually because I'm having a grandbaby.
I like it. Okay,
yeah, you can reach out. If your distributor hosts it, I'll do it. I do them virtually all the time. And it's like a sequence. It's a series. We have one that goes through kind of the 101 of basics. And then we have a AI financial mastery class, planning pro formas and so forth. And then we have a market. There's like 10 you could go through that are going to, literally the fish guy is knocking on my door to clean the fish tank.
Go ahead.
I can? Okay, so sorry. He's not gonna stop. I can hear it.
But she really actually gave us a map of first I'm going to do this, check. Then I'm going to do this, check. And so today we can hit the reset. She actually started in the beginning with looking at the mission statement, going back to what is the direction that the company is going. And so now we know what we're going to do. And in a week, by next Friday, week and a half, week and 2 days, you're actually going to have everything lined up. You're going to have the information, you're going to have the marketing and stuff. So how are we going to actually turn the ship with the team? How are we going to make sure that the team is executing?
Yeah. So my philosophy is to get the team AI enabled as well as quickly as possible. I don't believe AI is going to replace everybody, but I do believe AI is going to replace everyone who doesn't use AI. So by role, I would have an AI enablement strategy to make sure that they were properly trained on how to use AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I would make them part of the process of identifying what elements of their current functions can be fully automated that they no longer need to do. And I would start having that question. I would start having that conversation right out of the gate right now. And it's not an easy one. It's not an easy one in my own company. But this is one of those moments where either people are going to lean in and be part of the evolution, or they're going to be mad at you that you evolved and removed a lot of wasted costs and time and lag, things that really weigh the business down. Either because you're not doing them at all and you should be, or because you're doing them and you're taking the slow, I call it the snail route. Like, so, choose. Do you want to be Tigger or Eeyore? Like,
Yeah.
that's first.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a matter of identifying, like, there's a lot of roles that you don't technically need in their current position. So as a company, it is setting a culture that by removing the mundane, the repetitive, the administrative functions, it allows us to level up and apply our energy to higher leveraged activities that AI can't do. And I would need everybody to adopt that philosophy. And those who are not able nor willing to adopt that philosophy, that'd be a different conversation. I'd make some tough decisions.
Yeah, I
Quick.
agree. Yeah, and it's actually great leadership to bring your team into the AI discussion and encourage them that, hey, we're excited for you to be able to be interacting with AI, and we actually expect you to for your job. And so for every role, these are the tools that we see. You can go and research and find your own too, but use AI, get used to it. We want to help make you more efficient and make your job better. And then you're going to quickly see who actually does gravitate towards that versus who is resistant. But if we can everybody step up our efficiency at one time, and then all of a sudden, to your point, there's a whole lot of waste that's happening right now that doesn't need to, because there is faster ways to do things right now. Still
Yeah,
needing people.
yeah. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of companies, not these or this industry, why a lot of small businesses operate at a very low margin. There's also a reason why you as an entrepreneur, us as an entrepreneur, at some point, we said, I can do it better. It wasn't because we wanted to be better than whoever our boss was. That might have been a part of it. But technically, every entrepreneur, every business owner listening to this started their business for three primary reasons. We all want the same thing, right? We want more time, grandbabies. We
Yeah.
want more money, right? And we want freedom. And most entrepreneurs are running their businesses without any of those things, with a tremendous amount of liability. Oftentimes at that $2 million rate, I know that feels successful, but typically at the 1 to 2 million and under, that means that I have built a very expensive referral based business. And I have not managed or mastered how to generate leads and opportunities outside of maybe my Google business listing and referrals. And that's good. Those are the first two things you need to nail down, right? That's your golden egg. But it's in a $10 million company, referrals is this much compared to where they get all the rest of their businesses, because they figure out how to get in front of more consumers faster. So I do think there's a reality check, and that is that a $2 million business is not a safe space, right? You may or may not have any benefits programs. You probably are not paying the highest. You can't just throw down 10 grand to go recruit the best technician off the street and bring them in. You're probably burning out your team with too many hours and wanting them to work weekends and everything else. You don't have I don't want you to miss a soccer game. Like, I don't want you to miss a soccer game.
Right.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a highly efficient business that is figured out how to market, how to drive new leads and opportunities. So, you quite possibly have made purchases that you shouldn't have at the end of the year. There might be a jet ski or something in your garage next to the air conditioner because you're trying to not pay taxes. I mean, there's just like all of the things, that are part of that size business. And we got to grow out of that because that's not a safe place. That's one lawsuit away from living in a box, and that's for you and your team. And so that's a real conversation I would have with everyone on the team right out of the gate is, if we want to build a business and if you want to make more money and you want financial security and you want to be able to go to every soccer game, then we need to build a business as if we were operating at 10 million. We need to design a business as if the first list that we had was a due diligence list and start checking those babies off from the day we open the doors. And I would need everybody's commitment to go there. That's a very big deal.
Yeah, so oftentimes as leaders, we've missed rolling out the vision to the team early enough. I know I've made that mistake for years, and if I could go back and do it again, I can't imagine the difference in our business, right? If I would have shared the vision more clear, more often, and every day. We were at the Chickamauga battlefield the other day on a field trip for my oldest daughter. And so walking around the museum, watching everything that happened on this battlefield, and kind of reading everything, all of a sudden I had such new interest because there was one moment in the war where there was a battle at the foot of Lookout Mountain in Chattanooga, Tennessee, right outside of Chickamauga Battlefield. Anyway, don't worry, I do have a point to this story. But the picture depicting it is this one general that would not back down. And so he's got the American flag, and everybody else is like, hey, we've got to leave, we've got to leave. He's like, no, we will hold this hill. And he's charging up that hill with the flag, and the troops are following behind. And that was a very, very pivotal piece of the war that actually turned things. But watching and reading that plaque and seeing just the visual of the war and everything that was happening, but that American flag up front gave me such a new picture in our businesses. And I know it's not the same, but bear with me, of the importance of keeping that vision front and center. This is where we're going. Is everybody on the same team? Are we all battling together? We call it here, are we in the same boat? Are we rowing in the same direction? And if it
Are we
doesn't make
wearing the same jersey?
Yep. If it doesn't make the boat go faster, then it goes out of the boat. And so we've got to be rowing in the same direction all the time and keeping that vision front and center of where we're going. They've got to know. They've got to know what their personal metrics are, what their goals for the week are. They've got to know where they measure up and what they're doing. Otherwise, they don't know if they're performing well or not. And so as leaders, we've missed the boat a lot. But this is, again, I'm telling you, I'm all about this reset button. We can reset today. And today we can start being better leaders by making sure our team is clear. To be clear is to be kind. They need to know what we expect of them.
I agree with that. And then we got to be hyper focused on high leveraged activities and know exactly what they are. I think that part of what makes me a little crazy, I guess, like super high focus, super, super involved in the transformation of technology and the impact that I know is no one's even predicted yet. It's my job to be a visionary and see what's coming. It's my job to pay attention to what's happening in the tech industry, what's happening in not just marketing, not just home services, but when you think about AI, and we talked a little bit about an agentic network or a super agent that can perform a function or a task for you, right? I see a lot of companies downplaying it right now and saying, oh, Google's only lost 2% of search volume. That's a lot in a very short period of time. And it's not done that before.
Yeah.
But if you need some motivation on why you don't have a lot of time to start making some difficult decisions, just I'll roll through this really fast. And this is a good motivator. It's my motivator. Is I want you to think about AI in its current sense. It's an app. Someone has to introduce it to you. You probably have to download it. You might have to install the search version of it, and then you got to learn how to use it. Okay. Once you do, you're hooked. Like once you do, that's like, I'm pretty sure that's people's spouses now. Right.
Yeah,
I
right.
know
I
it's
know.
I know
Yeah.
it's their search engine. That's their new CFO. That's their new chief operating officer. That's their new HR, right? That's their new legal team. That's their new doctor. That's their new chef.
Yeah.
I mean, that AI that's what happens as soon as you get your hands on it, right? So when you think about velocity of consumer adoption, you think about this in stages. You have AI evolution phase 1, which it takes somebody to go do it. That's phase 1. And you have the first version of consumer adoption, which was, people are saying it's a light trickle. They acquired as many searches as Bing has in its history in the first 6 months. Trickle, high velocity. I mean, yeah, I've kind of put it out.
I know.
I'm going to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
More than the transfer of all of the teenagers, leaving all the old people on Facebook and moving to Snapchat or TikTok or whatever, right? It was bigger than that in a shorter window of time. So when you look at the rate of change for technology, the next phase is the next move is referred to as hardware integration, native hardware integration. So if you look at the roadmap of Meta, the roadmap of Google, the roadmap of Amazon, the roadmap of Apple, and I can keep going, they've publicly shared their roadmap for native AI integration into the hardware that already exists times 20 in every household in the United States. So when you think about your house, how many smart devices do you have in your house? I have a Siri right there, the little music thing. I have a Google Home right there. I've got tablets over here. I've got Sonos. I've got OLED, whatever fancy TV things. I've got probably 70 things connected to my Wi-Fi device. Those are smart devices, hardware. So when we think that consumer adoption is going to take a long time, I want everybody to reassess and stop listening to that, because it is an update that happens in the middle of the night while you sleep. And tomorrow, depending on their rollout schedule, Amazon Alexa is no longer dumb Amazon. It's AI enabled Amazon. And the next update is now it's a super agent. Now Amazon can do your homework, not just order on Amazon, but your Alexa device can now find a home service provider, call them, book for you. It can book your reservations at a restaurant, make sure you have a high chair, make sure you're seated by the window, and make sure you got vegan options for your menu. It can do all of that. Every single one of these devices plans on updating in the next 2 quarters. Again, May 2021. In Q4 and Q1, you are going to have native integration with AI, and Siri is now AI, and Alexa and Google Home and Sonos and every one of these things. It's on our wrist, it's on our watch, it's on our sunglasses, it's in our pocket, it's in our handbag, it's in our TV, it's everywhere. So when you think through how quick do humans adopt things that make their life easier, pretty freaking fast, especially when they're talking to the same thing they were yesterday. So that space, when you have AI answering the call, AI making the call, that communication has its own language. It's like gibberlink or whatever it is. And it's I posted one the other day of that exact thing happening. I was someone calling to book a hotel. The hotel had AI answering. They realized they were both AI agents. They were like, "Oh, would you rather talk in gibberlink?" Yes. And they booked the whole reservation and had a nice conversation and said thank you and have a great day and asked all the questions. So in that environment, that is a 0-click conversion. They never went to your website. They never went to Google. There are no paid ads. There's no LSA. your Google business listing and all those reviews you've worked so hard on for however many years, those do not exist. That's TomTom over on ChatGPT. That's a Bing application, and no one in this industry is focused on Bing reviews.
Yeah.
But that's a different system. Depending on if it's a B2B inquiry, a B2C inquiry, or a mixed inquiry, they all get their data from different substances. Some is Reddit, some is Wiki, some is blogs. There's a different strategy for seeding the AI with information that you want it to know for you to get found. So on one hand, yes, scary, because everything you know about marketing and your business success, I'm on page one of Google. Yeah, but why is my traffic down? Why do I show no lead conversions, but I'm getting more phone calls? That's because it skips the entire supply chain. So everything you know about measuring results, measuring attribution, seeing if you're making progress, that's gone. That is got a very short life cycle.
Yeah, good
so
point.
The process of having open, transparent, two-way visibility to financial success in the business and activities that are designed to drive new revenue. If you miss the middle, if the marketing agency doesn't have the financial information to see if the triggers they pull, the new stuff that is brand new, all these new things they're trying to figure out, if they don't have feedback that what they're doing over here, it's working, it's showing in the bottom line. And if you're still looking and saying that, well, it's not anything my marketing company did, I'm just getting these naturally, my phone's ringing, then they're going to cancel the very services that are driving the phone calls, and we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot again. Like, there's so many instances of needing to prepare and train and educate and understand how
We lost you again.
control this, and it's not going to move slow. It's not. I just want to train.
You froze up for a second, and so you said there's so many instances. We got to look out. We got to be prepared.
And right now we just need a lot of education and a lot of patience. And you're going to have to retrain everything that you've been learning over the last 3 years. I mean, it wasn't until the last maybe 48 months that most of the industry became familiar with attribution tracking because of Searchlight, new technology, created awareness in an industry. Now they're looking for KPIs that technically won't exist. So, I mean, from a manufacturer standpoint, if 10% of my dealer base purchases 80% of the equipment volume, the big ones, and if they generate the majority of their leads and opportunities through paid advertising, LSA, and their 3,000 Google business listing reviews, if that doesn't exist in AI search, do they know that that's coming? Absolutely. That's why I'm doing all these trainings. From a distributor or manufacturer base, the rest of my dealers that buy enough to be assigned a territory sales manager at a branch instead of just buying from the branch, they're all in a WordPress, a Wix, or GoDaddy, or a DIY website.
Yeah.
And none of the existing technology, hate to say it, but Schedule Engine was not developed in a time where you had orchestrated agents trying to connect to book online. That technology is not tested nor verified, nor does an agentic agent or an operator book with that software. You got software outdated all over the planet. That's your lead source. So it sounds overwhelming, but on the flip side, the positive note is we have not seen in my lifetime an opportunity to compete in a new space with no competitor and no one doing it right than we have right now. Like, this is the moment. If you get this right, you might have never got to page one of Google for AC repair in Seattle or Houston or Dallas or anything else. You have an entirely new space that if you get ahead and don't wait, this doesn't matter how much you have in an ad budget, doesn't matter how big your company is, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You're going to be able to compete. And I've just never seen this before. So it's really exciting.
Right. It is. It's exciting that we get to be here during this time, because it is. Let's end on that, because this is a good time and let's be a part of it. And
It's
so
exciting.
yes. I can't wait to get this episode out for everybody to hear. And when they want to follow up with your team to get your help, where should they go?
ciwebgroup.com or find me on social media. Send me a
Awesome.
text, 972-342-5933. Put that in the notes.
Awesome.
We're not that formal, so you can connect
Yeah.
with any of us on social media, and anyone on our team, whether you wind up using our services or not. We do not care. That does not matter. What we want to do is just prep as many companies as we can to be consciously aware that it's time to start learning more and more and more. Change your feed. You're getting on your social media and your news to start giving you more tidbits about what's happening, and it'll make it a lot easier.
Yeah, that's a great way to get started. Good tip there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I learned a lot. I know everybody else did too. Thanks so much. I'm excited about the future. This is a good time. Good time to be in our space.
Yeah, baby. Let's increase margins, get more business, and do business a lot easier than we have in the past. It doesn't have to be that hard anymore.
Right. And that's the main key here is let's simplify the way that we're doing it. We've all been pushing these heavy boulders up a hill and we don't have to do that anymore. So
No, ma'am.
That's right. Awesome. Jennifer, I can't thank you enough. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. And for everybody that listen, I'm sorry. Take 2 aspirin. Call me in the morning.
Sounds good. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Bye.
If you want to learn more about the new flat rate, go to tnfr.us. If you want to learn more about CI Web Group Inc., go to ciwebgroup.com. Lastly, don't forget to check out ciwebgroup.com/request-a-workshop if you are interested in attending a workshop.